But with that, I'd like to welcome everybody to the 5,542nd meeting of the Rotary Club of Chicago. Rotary One is now in session. And so we'll start off, as always, with our thought of the day. And I'd like to pass the floor over to one of our very own new members, Jane Park. Jane, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I got to admit, as a newcomer, I'm a little nervous, but very honored for this opportunity. So thank you so much. Today, November 3rd, 2020, is a very special day for every citizen of the United States because many of us participated in a most democratic process, which is electing our own leaders. So today I want to share Teddy Roosevelt's writing excerpts that somehow ended up in my inbox recently, and I read it with a great interest. And the reason why I want to share that with you is because the excerpts were about duties of good citizen and what makes a good free society. So I'm sure the topics that are in your thoughts lately, and especially today. So as a quick background, what I am about to share with you originally came from Teddy Roosevelt's speech he delivered in Paris at Sorbonne in 1910. And the original title was Citizenship in a Republic, and later it was published as Duties of the Citizen. So this is how Teddy Roosevelt describes good citizenship. The good citizen in a republic must realize that he ought to possess two sets of qualities and that neither avails without the other. He must have those qualities which make for efficiency, and that he also must have those qualities which direct the efficiency into channels for the public good. He is useless if he is inefficient. There is nothing to be done with that type of citizen of whom all that can be said is he is harmless. The good citizen in a republic must first of all be able to hold his own. He is no good citizen unless he has the ability which will make him work hard and which at need will make him fight hard. The citizen is not a good citizen unless he is an efficient citizen. Of course, now he understands the efficiency alone is not only insufficient, but even be dangerous to society if used unethically. So he continues and says, courage, intellect, all the masterful qualities serve but to make a man more evil if they are merely used for that man's own advancement with brutal indifference to the rights of others. It speaks ill for the community if the community worships these qualities and treats their possessors as heroes regardless of whether the qualities are used rightly or wrongly. It makes no difference as to the precise way in which this sinister efficiency is shown. It makes no difference whether such a man's force and ability betray themselves in a career of moneymaker or politician, soldier or orator, journalist or popular leader. If the man works for evil, then the more successful he is, the more he should be despised and condemned by all upright and far-seeing men. To judge a man merely by success is wrong. And if the people at large habitually so judge men, if they grow to condone wickedness because the wicked man triumphs, they show their inability to understand that in the last analysis, free institutions rest upon the character of citizenship, and that by such admiration of evil, they prove themselves unfit for liberty. Now he continues and adds, in a republic, to be successful, we must learn to combine intensity of conviction with a broad tolerance of difference of conviction. Why differences of opinion in matters of religious, political, and social belief must exist if conscience and intellect alike are to be stunted, if there is to be room for healthy growth. The citizen of a republic should beware of a man who appeals to them to support him on the ground that he is hostile to other citizens of the republic, that he will secure for those who elect him in one shape or another profit at the expense of other citizens of the republic. It makes no difference whether he appeals to class hatred or class interest, to religious or anti-religious prejudice. The man who makes such an appeal should always be presumed to make it for the sake of furthering his own interest. The last thing an intelligent and self-respecting member of a democratic community should do is to reward any public man because that public man says he will get the private citizen something to which this private citizen is not entitled. If a public man tries to get your vote by saying that he will do something wrong in your interest, you can be absolutely certain that if ever it becomes worth his while, he will do something wrong against your interest. So in conclusion, we all know democracy is not perfect, but the best we've got. So today, we are reminded by Teddy Roosevelt that democracy rests upon the character of citizenship. So we must do our part to be a good citizen. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Jane. And for those of you who don't know Jane, she runs her own law firm, and she was actually past president of the Chicagoland Korean Rotary Club. So thank you very much for those words of wisdom. And I just want to build on that a little bit to say that if you haven't voted yet, please go down to the lower right corner of your screen and press the red leave button and go out and vote. I am literally giving you permission to ignore me. Just jump out of the Zoom meeting. You can leave the Rotary meeting and go out and vote. That is clearly much more important. And if you have voted, then please stick around. I want to talk about the final numbers for the polio fundraiser that we did for the district during the month of October, and the Rotary Club of Chicago was a very integral piece of that, providing a match as well as providing a fantastic polio-themed event created by Marga Hugo, and we were able to generate quite a bit of revenue. So basically 38 clubs and 331 individual Rotarians contributed throughout the month of October. And so including the matching grants from us and another organization in the district, as well as from the Gates Foundation, we raised over $124,000 for End Polio Now in the month of October. As far as we know, we've never had such a successful campaign in the district for polio. So congratulations to all of you for your contribution to that. So now let's start our program for today. And just a reminder that if you have questions for anything that you're going to hear today or for our speakers, feel free to put them in the chat box, and we will save some time for Q&A after the program. And do keep yourself on mute while we go through the program. And let me sort of set the stage a little bit for what we're going to talk about today, because I do want to get everybody excited about an effort that our club has undertaken, along with several other clubs, which I'll get to in a moment, to try to combat homelessness in Chicago and in other cities in the US. And we have several volunteer opportunities coming up. We really want to make this a big event, but I do want to make sure everybody understands what we're doing and why we're doing it. So last spring, under President Marshall, the first 5 Rotary clubs in the history of the world, and that's Chicago, San Francisco, Oakland, Seattle, and Los Angeles, decided to take advantage of virtual meetings and form a coalition of sorts, starting with having a joint meeting of the members. But we thought we could do more than just holding joint meetings and sharing best practices, which is valuable in its own right, but we wanted to do more. And so we wanted to do a joint service project. But what project could we undertake? We asked our members to get a sense of what folks were interested in across the different clubs. And now history binds us together, obviously, but so does the fact that we're all large city clubs. And so we decided to focus on the challenge of homelessness, something that's an issue in all of our cities and particularly acute on the West Coast. And within that field, we further decided that hygiene kits were something we could implement on relatively short order, building a foundation on which we could affect more lasting change down the line. Now, locally here in Chicago, we wanted to take that seed of a hygiene kit and use it as a means to connect with homeless individuals and connect them with other service options. And we want to provide more than what's in the kit as well. And so we're adding some other items like shampoo and hand sanitizer, masks, socks, and a resource guide to other services. We're also going to be providing meals to the population that we're serving. And in this project, we're working in partnership with the Salvation Army, a Safe Haven, a night ministry, Chicago Help Initiative, the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office, LDS Charities, and Koval Distillery to provide the hygiene kits, food, and then those connections to other services for the homeless. And this project will be conducted simultaneously across the 5 cities that the 5 Rotary clubs are part of. And so you can hear with all of those organizations that I mentioned that a big part of this is also building relationships, not just nationally, but also locally, and building goodwill and better friendships, of course. At the end of the meeting today, I'll talk a little bit about how you can all get engaged. So now I'd like to bring us back to a summer meeting you may recall with Paul Hammond, who's head of the night ministry. Paul did a pretty good job of laying out the issues relating to homelessness here in Chicago and nationally, and talking a little bit about how the night ministry addresses them. And as one of our partners, I wanted to just refresh your memory and allow Paul to essentially set the stage for the homelessness challenge that we face. So Shelby, could you cue the video?
We hear a lot about homelessness a lot in this country, especially on the West Coast. I think, California certainly has been in the news a lot. These 5 stars on this map show places in our country that have developed or declared a state of emergency for homelessness. This means that the challenge of homelessness in their communities is so prevalent that by declaring a state of emergency with homelessness, often like you would do after a natural disaster, it allows for different types of resources to be diverted differently to help address homelessness. So we have Los Angeles, San Francisco, we've got Seattle, and then parts of Oregon, and also the entire state of Hawaii has declared a state of emergency with regard to homelessness. Here in Chicago, let's bring it back home a little bit. According to the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless, nearly 77,000 individuals homeless last year in the city of Chicago. And when you take that number and compare it to the number that HUD has, you're thinking, wow, we've got quite a bit of the number of homeless in this country. But actually, that points to the challenge of the fact that there is no single definition of homelessness in this country. On the federal level, there is no single definition of homelessness. So therefore, individuals are counted differently by different types of criteria. But the number that we generally tend to use here, and this is based on an aggregate from the data management system that all of us providers use, as about 77,000 individuals here in Chicago throughout the course of a year are homeless. Those 77,000, you can see here, there's about 12,000 who are homeless youth. Some of them, a large number of them are staying with other individuals, but are still without safe and stable housing. Nearly 1,200 on the streets. Again, families you'll see here make up a large number of the individuals who are homeless. Nearly 30,000 in the city of Chicago, 30,000 individuals, families with children, but 23 of those, 23,000 in shelter. The night ministry has 2 lines of services, if you will, 2 lines of business. We have 5 housing programs that on a nightly basis can house up to 61 youth, ages 14 to 24, or anywhere from overnight to up to 2 years, depending on the program and the age of the young adult whom we're working with. Last year, we served 455 youth and 47 of their children. So we are one of the few organizations in the city that actually works with homeless mothers who have young children with them, and they're underneath the age of 24. What's Donner had experienced was going out and working and serving a meal on our health outreach bus. This is the bus you see here. This seems to be the thing that we're known the most for in the city. People see it on the streets a lot. That's a 38-foot mobile health clinic that is on the streets 7 days a week, working in underserved neighborhoods, not only with individuals who are homeless, but those who are precariously housed and what we call one paycheck away from homelessness. And here you see a volunteer group. We always try to have, during non-COVID times, some type of meal provided by a volunteer group. Last year, we had over 51,000 contacts with individuals in need off of that health outreach bus. That's not 51,000 different individuals, but 51,000 times that individuals came to us. And we served over 1,200 patients with our medical services.
So next, I'd like to move over to Matt Ball. Matt is the president of the Rotary Club of Los Angeles, or otherwise known as LA5. He's also with the LDS Church, which has incredibly supplied the First Five Collaborative with 10,000 base hygiene kits, 2,000 of which are heading here to Chicago. And we're going to hear a little bit from Matt about this partnership between LDS and Rotary, why they're contributing, the history of contributing hygiene kits like this. I'm very excited to hear from Matt. We've been working now for many months on this project. Matt, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. Appreciate being here. And Marshall, great to be here with you both. And of course, your whole club. It's wonderful. I get to be on a Zoom call with Marshall and Eric each week as we collaborate with Chicago, Seattle, Oakland, San Francisco, and LA. We all get together in our group of our leadership group and trying to coordinate these things. So the cachet, or at least the buying power that comes from, sorry for the buying power reference, it's a metaphor really, because it's not really the buying power that enabled this particular thing as much as the fact that Latter-day Saint Charities is the NGO that's recognized throughout the world as that organization that does charitable work in 172 countries just right now. We partner with Catholic charities, Muslim charities, any charity that's internationally known. We're recognized by the United Nations, and therefore one of those that has boots on the ground. Well, Rotary is one of those partners that has, because of it being all over the world, the church has done a tremendous amount of strategic work with Rotary. And during this last COVID, well, during COVID right now, I want to say I don't have the exact number, and maybe I'm not allowed to quote this number, but the church has provided millions and millions of dollars of assistance for COVID relief in countries all over the world. I have a breakdown of every country and every dollar and every project that was done throughout the world. It's just that report alone, I'm astounded. I'm astounded actually that I get to be a part of this organization. My job, my day job, is that I am what was the public affairs director for the church on the West Coast. And that means from, Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, up to Alaska, and everything associated with just creating relationships so that if we ever had this kind of an operation or this kind of an opportunity, we might be able to partner. So I work with diplomats in particular. So every diplomat that's posted on the West Coast that has a jurisdiction of, let's say, the whole 15 states in the United States, their posting covers ways in which they can handle travel to and from their individual countries. But then the other objective they have is they're trying to find ways in which they can somehow find how to do business in our country with not just talent and resources from their own country, but how to inculcate themselves, how to somehow find a toehold. And, I'm in LA, so as a result, the film industry and the entertainment business and the media all appear so sexy to them that they're trying to find a way to just get some sort of foothold here. So we enable that and really help them to show and see what is possible here. So I connect a lot of dots in terms of helping people come together with resources. So that's my job. So in doing this, I never intended to be president of Rotary. I tease a lot in my club because I'm like, I've only been a member for 10 years. And I said, you guys asked me to be secretary 4 years ago just because I'm always here. And they're like, yeah, that's part of it. And I go, well, and because I attend service projects and I'll lend a hand. And they said, yeah, that's part of it. And I said, well, and because I just won't go away. And you're like, yeah, you're kind of annoyingly here all the time. So why not? And so I tease about that. And all of a sudden, as anybody that knows that's done this sort of thing, and you get on this track from secretary to VP of programming to VP to suddenly president, you're like, oh my heavens, what did I do? This is ridiculous, the amount of work this is. How does anybody maintain a job? But the joy of this is that because our church, that is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and let me back up just 1 second. I'm a paid employee of the church, which is very awkward. And I say that because the church is a lay ministry, and this is not an ecclesiastical position I hold. It's strictly a position of friendship and fellowshipping between those people that need something in the world. And so here's how I know that my job is really working. When I call a diplomat and they return my call on their cell phone, or they text me on their cell phone, or they're in my house for dinner, that's how I know my job is really working. So to be able to have a diplomat say to me, Matt, we have got a school over in Senegal right now where they are trafficking kids right out of school. Is it possible for your church to help us in some way build a fence around that school and also a roof on our cafeteria and maybe give it a little electricity? And oh, by the way, we're missing a little food too. And so within 6 weeks, we're building a fence around that school. We put a roof on it. We're adding electricity, provided food. And every consul general that's posted in California approaches me and says, we'd like to work someplace in the world. So as a result of that sort of resource and opportunity, our church is this amazing place. I am astounded every time I take a VIP or somebody to Salt Lake to say, here, let me show you the hub of what we do. And this is not religious in the respect that there's nothing doctrinal that is being imposed upon anybody. I mean, we simply live by the two basic principles: to love our neighbor as ourselves and to love God with all of our hearts. So those two principles are really what govern everything we do, and being in Rotary is just such an easy extension of that I have found that being president is not just a joy, but it's something I have grown to love so much. And to be able to offer up an opportunity where I might be able to solicit through our ecclesiastical leadership a request to try to bring hygiene kits into our first 5 clubs to try to help all of us distribute them how we would do so within our own space and to make it possible to do so was such a joy. It's such an easy thing for me to do, at least an easy thing for me to ask for. Don't be mistaken by the amount of paperwork that it took to get this done. But having said all of that, it was really a lot of fun because I get to work with these ecclesiastical leaders all over the world. I can literally pull up a phone number in Africa as I can, in Canada as I can, in Bolivia right now. I can connect with anybody in the world in this network of people. And so because Rotary is so connected around the world, that I contacted my colleague out of Chicago. And I'm like, so Rebecca, well, she's actually in Denver, but she covers Chicago. And I said, so we've got this marvelous opportunity there. And she says, Matt, so I'm not sure I understand Rotary. Is it a bunch of old guys that donate money and they like cars? And I'm like, I'm so embarrassed that you said that. I'm embarrassed for you. So let me help you. But she says, okay, clearly you need to come and speak at our next training meeting so people can understand Rotary. Well, the organization of the church has a service branch in Chicago known as Just Serve. They have this all over the United States, justserve.org. It's a website where you can find resources for volunteerism, or if you're looking for volunteers, or if you need volunteers for your project, or you want to tell other people that you've got a project of which volunteers can be a part of it, or whatever it may be for your family. This justserve.org is made up of all members of the church in your space that are chomping at the bit to help you. And so, Eric, I will be introducing you. I think I've already introduced you via email, but you will be meeting these folks. And it's such a cool thing. And I'll give you one last story before I go, because I know I don't want to take up too much of your time. I had the Malaysian Consul General, and I took him up to Salt Lake, and I was visiting with him, and I had him in this office at what's known as the Hinckley Institute. And at the Hinckley Institute, it was a think tank for political discussion. And as we pulled in, the Malaysian Consul General says, the young man that was at the Institute said, oh gosh, the last time I talked to anybody from Malaysia was several years ago when a member of the diplomacy or the diplomatic ambassadorial outreach for Malaysia called us as a church and said, we're interested to find out if you've got any hygiene kits, which is, soap, combs, toothbrush, washcloth, very basic kit. But because we've suffered a tsunami here, we're in desperate need of these hygiene kits. Is there anything you can do? And this young man said, on the ship Mercy that travels around the ocean, it's got our hygiene kits, and we send them to foreign countries. This ship is out there traveling right now, but I don't have authorization to direct it to Malaysia and to your particular port. And this gentleman said, well, to tell you the truth, it's becoming a matter of life and death. That is, people are without anything for hygiene, anything that would give them any kind of comfort or relief. If you could find a way to help direct some of those things to our country, that would be a real benefit to us, at least a blessing to the extent that you may not even be able to know and understand what a significant outreach that would be. This young man said, I'm not authorized to do that, and I could lose my job for doing this. Let me see what I can do. So he got back to him right away and said, okay, I've made a decision. I've redirected this ship Mercy with thousands of hygiene kits to come to Malaysia. And he's like, really? And he goes, I will probably lose my job for this, but it sounded like this was rather important. So I took a chance. This young man immediately contacted his boss the next day and let him know what he had done. And his boss said, it's not the wrong thing. It's not a bad thing. I probably would have done the same thing. So as he was telling this story to the Consul General of Malaysia in Salt Lake, his response, that is, this diplomat's response was, that was a few years ago this happened. He said, yes, he goes, I was the man on the phone you were talking to. I was the one that asked you for those hygiene kits, and you were the one that made that happen. You changed lives. You affected us forever. And then everyone stepped back as these two embraced themselves, these two total strangers, and they wept. And they sat and exchanged this moment of, I cannot even believe that we are in this room exchanging this moment together. And it was one of the most beautiful things. And it just completely goes, I am so fortunate to be in Rotary, because in my job and in Rotary, those moments happen all the time. And it's not just uncanny and not just coincidental, it is divine. And I think Rotary is so connected to everything that I get to do in terms of outreach, that the chance to even ask and request for these hygiene kits to be shared with Rotary through the church and through all of the nonprofits that we're working with is such an incredible blessing. It's such an opportunity. What a pleasure to be able to share with you some of the joy that I get to have in my job and some of the joy that we get to do together. So it's a privilege that I know you get to add socks and face masks and hand sanitizers and other things, but what a privilege for us to be able to do something small, because, you know, these 2,000, those kits will go like that. There'll be nothing in it. It will seem like nothing, but like the old starfishes that, you know, wash up on the shore, and the little kid that's throwing it back in the ocean, somebody saying, hey, there's thousands of starfish. You can't make a dent out here. And the kid throws one back in the ocean and says, well, it matters to that one, right? So even though it's just one or two or a small dent, we're obviously making a difference. And it's a pleasure to be a part of Rotary, because it feels like a family wherever we go. I feel like a part of it is just such an easy camaraderie and an easy fraternity. So thanks very much for letting me take some of your time. And Eric and Marshall, thanks for letting me impose upon you. God bless.
No, thank you very much, Matt. And those were some very moving stories. Absolutely incredible. And we hope to have similar experiences as we distribute these kits in our 5 cities. And we're forever grateful for what you've done here, and certainly the LDS Church for getting us those kits. So thank you very much. You're obviously welcome anytime. Otherwise, I'll see you in 2 days. But please feel free to stick around for the rest of the meeting as your time allows.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, you guys. Take care.
All right, take care, Matt. One of our newest members, Donna Mitsos, introduced me to Doug Frazier and the Chicago Help Initiative, which has donated 2,000 resource guides that are also going to go in each of those kits. Doug has been executive director of the Chicago Help Initiative, CHI, for the last 8 years. CHI is a small not-for-profit that provides meals, resources, and positive peer groups to homeless in Chicago. Before coming to CHI, Doug has worked for the Metropolitan Planning Council, the City of Chicago, and the Magnificent Mile Association. Doug, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And thank you guys for having me and for giving me a couple minutes to talk about our organization. So that was the introduction, the earlier conversations really make sense, I think, to what I'm about to say. You guys know, you mentioned the resource guide, and that is a contribution that we're very happy to make to what you're doing, and we're very pleased that you made us a part of doing that. In it, it has information on how to get inside shelters. It has information on where to get a hot meal. It has information on opioid resources for folks who are addicts. It has essentially a collection of tools to help people who are homeless or in trouble change that situation. But what it really is a bridge to connection. And that's part of what we are as an organization. It's a bridge to move people who are outside back inside, people who are isolated into connecting in some way or taking that step to connect to people who can help them. And so we're very happy that you're giving it out and that you're using it, and hopefully some people will pick it up and use it themselves. Then the second thing, I had like a prepared sort of what I was going to say. but I'm going to speed up the middle part and I'm going to get right to the end. So the middle part is a little bit about our organization, and that is that we do congregate meals. We've done them for 15 years. And at those meals, we use the food as a draw to bring people in and to link them to formal resources and informal resources. And then I'm going to skip the rest of that part because we're not doing that so much anymore after COVID, but we're doing something else. And it relates to what you guys have been talking about. When COVID started, about a third of the food pantries in the city closed, and many of the meals, our partner meals, closed as well. And so we were fortunate to be able to step in and do a partial help. We did a whole lot of hot meals using food trucks, but we also did bag meals. So we just had volunteers pull together a sandwich, a piece of fruit, a drink, and a snack, and we began distributing that out where pantries had closed and adding them onto the hot meals so guys could stay in place, because at that time there was a shelter-in-place order in the city. And those bag meals were all created by volunteers. The first one we did a meal where there's a Lutheran church that had closed and we were subbing in. We said, let's make the hot meal. So I went out that morning and I bought enough to make 150 bag meals. But I had put out an email the night before asking if volunteers would make them and bring them in. And we got over 300 bag meals. And that has continued. And sort of fast forwarding, we've stopped making most of the hot meals, but now we serve 15 to 20 locations across the city with those bag meals. And we do it to, some is direct delivery and some comes downtown. So right now we're serving about 2,000 total to those locations every week, all made by volunteers, all dropped off either directly or then delivered. It's a chance for people to help and to help those in need. But going back to the connection point, and this is part of what we wanted to do as well. We now have helped a synagogue deliver to an evangelical shelter. We have helped businesses on the north side deliver to the south side. We have connected different institutions downtown out to the west side. So it's been a way both of helping and of connecting. If you're interested in being part of that, the demand is increasing. We need more bags and we are adding more locations. Probably we add 2 or 3 every 2 weeks now, very recently. Then the second thing I would add, and I hope I haven't skipped too much in the middle about what we are as an organization because it's an odd time. So I don't know how much of it is relevant, is we're starting a winter gear drive. Socks, hats, scarves, gloves, hand and foot warmers. And we're going to be adding those to the bag meal soon. So we will be hopefully adding a little bit more to people who have been quite a bit challenged lately. I should add that some of the food pantries we serve have gone from serving help. Some of the pantries that we help have gone from serving 100 families to 700 families. So the impact in parts of this city have been huge, but that's also an opportunity to help because we can do it. What else can I tell you about? I know I switched around what I was going to say at the last minute because of what was said before. So I hope what I said was clear.
No, I think that makes total sense, Doug. And I think that gives us a good sense for what your organization does. And again, I just want to thank you for providing those resource guides. It's exactly the sort of thing that we said from the very beginning amongst all 5 of our clubs in all 5 cities. We said, boy, we need some sort of information that connects people with other resources. So we thought we were going to have to make one of those up, and you already had a fantastic guide, much better than we could have ever created. So we're very thankful for that.
Sure. I should add that if you're looking for guides like ours, NAMI has a great one for mental health. Night Ministry has a great one. The Cook County Sheriff's has a great one for returning felons. You can't put everything in one guide. Ours is a fairly general one, and a lot of people use it. It's used by close to 100 organizations across the city. But there are other ones out there, and so making your own wouldn't have been too outlandish. But I'm really glad you're using ours, and I'm glad we're helpful to you.
As we move forward with our program tonight, Doug, one of the questions in the chat box is asking if there's a link to your resource guide. So if you wouldn't mind putting the URL, the web link to the guide in the chat box, I think that would help some of our guests tonight.
Okay, I will do it. I have to I'll probably go black when I do it in terms of the screen, but I will get it in there. And yeah, there is a PDF that you can download. And if you want, we sent this to a number of other cities who have done it. So if there is something that might be more germane to a different location, we can give you the form and you can fill it in and create.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Actually, maybe you can email that to me and I'll share it with the other clubs in the other cities.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Terrific.
All right. Thank you very much, Doug.
Thank you.
And again, I hope you stick around here for the rest of the meeting. So finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Salvation Army. So the Salvation Army is donating their time and their facilities for this effort. So Rotary and the Salvation Army have a long history of working together, not just in Chicago, but also across the entire Rotary world, frankly. Salvation Army reps couldn't make tonight's meeting, but they have provided a few videos that summarize what they do here in Chicago. And one of the two videos that you're going to see here focuses on their Shield of Hope facility, which is one of the two locations where we're going to go and distribute kits and meals. Please enjoy the videos.
I can describe how the Salvation Army saved my life back in 2000. When I first got here, I went to intake. That was in 2000. And they gave me counseling, they gave me food.
When I first met Warren back in 2000, believe it or not, he was very quiet. He was very withdrawn. He sat by himself.
See, I used to smoke cocaine. I used to drink alcohol. I was, selling drugs back then, back in the 80s.
There wasn't much of the man that was left. And over time, we started to see his personality start to develop as he felt better physically, as he ate and had enough rest, but more importantly, as he gained friends. Suddenly there was a freedom about him, and this huge personality developed.
When I first got in, I was scared to death. I didn't know where I was going, what was going to happen, but the Salvation Army picked me up.
And then he grew beyond that to helping other people. And he really found his beat when he took the job with mobile feeding.
I've been writing mobile outreach unit for 11 years.
The mobile outreach unit really uses food as our calling card. Because we have a delightful meal, people will come out. They'll come from streets away and come to the unit. Then they can meet with the case manager and they can get gloves when it's cold. They can get a coat.
So if I see a person that has no hat, no gloves, I'll go out there, fit their gloves on their hands, put the scarf around their neck and a hat on their head. Plus I'm giving them a hot bowl of soup. I have some people that just want to cry and just for somebody to pray for them. So we just take anybody that comes up. We have garbage trucks come up, CTA drivers want to get us a bowl off the soup.
Many of these folks have been so hurt by places that should have helped them, by people that should have been there.
Well, being the first face, when I slide open the door, that's a blessing to me. That they know Warren is here, they're going to get fed, they're going to get treated with respect and kindness, because they're human beings just like I am.
The greatest joys and victories are when they'll go to detox and then they'll come to treatment. And we have the opportunity to see them clean and sober and getting jobs and having families restored.
We don't give up on them. We let them know that we're still here for them. We don't turn our backs on no one.
The Mobile Outreach Unit is just one program that we offer here at the Freedom Center. We have many programs, from federal halfway houses to substance abuse treatment programs. We have employment services. We have youth centers. We have men's and women's programs. I, as a Salvation Army officer, am just constantly impressed and excited about the different kinds of programs.
We're joined by Leon Denton, Director of Social Services for the Salvation Army Metropolitan Division. Leon, can you tell us about the Shield of Hope?
Yes, the Shield of Hope is located on the west side of Chicago. It is a facility that we are funded to provide services for homeless families. And when I say families, we take entire families. We don't take individual male and females. We only service families at that particular facility. The facility has 20 rooms upstairs. Each room has its own individual bathroom, everything that a family would need. It allows us to serve at least 130 people when we are fully enrolled. That includes the overflow room that we have downstairs. And the services are free. Everything that the family needs is provided for them, even down to a pillow, toothpaste, toothbrush, laundry detergent, everything that a family could need once they come there, we provide it for them.
How does the Salvation Army partner with the city on this effort?
Well, the city came to the Salvation Army some years ago and asked us for our support in meeting the needs because it was a growing need. And as you know, the population of homeless families is increasing in the city of Chicago. Years ago, you saw individuals a great deal, but now we're beginning to see more families on the street that are homeless. So there needs to be more shelters built in the city of Chicago. The Shield of Hope is a triage center, which means that we place families in other shelters that are funded by the city of Chicago. We do a complete assessment on those families and then determine what's best for them. We put together a plan with that family after assessing them that will help them become stable in life or to move to the next level in their lives.
So those families that the gentleman was telling us about from the Salvation Army, those are some of the families that we're going to be helping with our hygiene kits and with our meals. So that concludes the program portion of our meeting. I believe any of the questions that came in through the chat box we've addressed in terms of connecting people with resources that Doug mentioned. Are there any other questions that anybody else has? I believe Matt has had to leave the meeting, so Doug is still on. Not seeing any coming through, but we can always connect you. Anybody who's interested, we can always connect you with Doug and his organization after the meeting. And obviously, as always, our meeting is recorded here today, so you can always find it on the website. Doug, we do have a little something for you today for joining us and spending a little bit of your time with us. We have one for Matt as well, but we'll have to send that one to him. So basically, we offer every one of our speakers this nice little candle here as a token of our gratitude for coming to our meeting. And the idea is when we give out these gifts that we want to affect change in Chicago, even with these gifts. All proceeds from these candles support an organization called Bright Endeavors, and their mission is to empower young moms by providing transitional jobs and professional skills training. So this not only helps those young moms, obviously, but it also supports their kids and then ultimately the community. So we will be sending one of those to you in the mail.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you guys for having me. I think you're doing wonderful work.
Well, thank you very much, Doug. Looking forward to future collaboration as well.
Terrific.
Very good. So I want to move on to a couple of other items. One of the newer segments of our meeting that I try to bring in as time allows is something called member success. I do hope that any of our members who have positive things that they want to talk about in their lives, perhaps new kid, new grandkid, new job, something successful, let me know and we will feature it. Part of the purpose of this club is to highlight our members. That's how you can get value. One of the many ways you can get value out of being a member of the Rotary Club of Chicago. One of the member successes I want to talk about today is with Alita Williams, who delivered just last week, I believe, just towards the end of the week, 500 meals to Hines VA Hospital, and also prepared 1,000 meals for Quaker Oats, 1,000 meals for National Oatmeal Day. Alita is on, so I know she'll appreciate me saying that as a token of appreciation. I think she would want nothing more than for you to provide her more oatmeal that she can enjoy because she really, really likes oatmeal. Thank you, Alita, and just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about the great things that you accomplished last week. And so now I want to introduce our guests today, and we have actually we have many guests on the line, and I will call out your name as I see it on my participant list, and if you can just tell us your name, tell us what you do, and tell us if you're with a Rotary Club, tell us what Rotary Club. If you can just keep it to about 10 seconds there, so we can get through all the guests. So the first guest on my list is Ann Weatherhead. Could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, I had to unmute myself. Yes, Ann Weatherhead, Evanston Lighthouse Rotary, and I am chair of our Housing and Homelessness Committee. So really appreciate the information that you've provided this evening.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining, Ann. The next guest on my list is Chris Joyce. Could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Chris Joyce. I'm the current president of the Evanston Lighthouse Rotary Club. I too am here to hear how you are handling the question of homelessness. Housing insecurity is a major initiative for our club up in Evanston.
Fantastic. I look forward to maybe connecting with you guys and learning more about what you guys are doing. Thanks for joining us today. Next person on my list, Elke.
Yep, that's me. Hello, sorry I cannot show my face right now. I'm with the Northbrook Rotary Club, and I love to attend your meetings, especially today. What an eye-opener. I cannot thank you enough for all you do. Big respect to Rotary One.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for coming back and joining us again. As always, you're always welcome. Next person on our list, Kathy Tate Bradish. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm also with the Evanston Lighthouse Rotary Club. As Chris said, our major focus is housing insecurity, which includes homelessness as well as affordable housing. And hats off to Ann Weatherhead, who just before this call delivered lots of meals through our Connections for the Homeless and Interfaith Action networks. So we admire much this big work that you're doing in Chicago, and I have already shot off an email to Roz to ask for their resource PDF. So thank you for doing this.
Wonderful. You guys are making Rotary proud. Thank you. Another Evanston Lighthouse Rotarian, Linda Gerber.
Hi, I'm Linda Gerber, and I'm the president-elect of Evanston Lighthouse Rotary, and I'm very proud that we've had the strategic focus of housing for homelessness and for increasing the capacity for affordable housing here in Evanston. And I always enjoy attending your meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Thanks for joining. Next guest is Chinyere Alu. Chinyere, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone, and good job. You got my name correct. I'm Chinyere Alu. I work in public health, and I'm currently not a Rotary member, but I am really interested in some of the issues that you all work on, and just trying to learn more how to get involved.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining. You're welcome to join anytime, and definitely feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to provide more information. I'm sure the Evanston Lighthouse Club would love to provide more information as well. We can make sure to find a Rotary Club that fits you. And I'm happy to hear I got your name right. I'm like a stop clock. I get it right on occasion. We have Joan. I'm not sure the last name, so I'm going to assume you're a guest. Is there a Joan on the call? Well, I am going to move on then. We can always come back. Jenny Lackman, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, sorry, Eric, you only got it right once tonight. It's Jenny Lackmani.
Ah, and, I told you.
It was good. It was a good try. I'm the managing editor of Rotary magazine until just a couple months ago, known as the Rotarian magazine. So I've been working for Rotary International for 15 years and on the magazine the whole time. So we just learned about this First Five initiative with the Homeless Project, and the magazine is very interested in learning more. So that's why I'm here. And I'll be in touch with you.
All right, sounds good. And I'll be happy to provide more information as the project progresses. But I think this is going to be a big one. I think it's a very compelling story. So thank you for being on to listen to at least part of it. Appreciate that. Let's see, who else do we have as a guest? Well, Irv and Ruth. Irv, I mean, Ruth is a member, and you're basically a member, but we'll let you introduce yourself.
Everybody, this is right up my alley in my philosophy. I truly believe that in this United States of America, we cannot let people go hungry. You know, helping them get back on track is one thing, but no one can go without food. So I'm so happy and pleased that I'm hearing all this. I thank the First Five clubs. RGHF, Rotary Global History Fellowship, started with the first 50 clubs, and then it went to the 100 clubs, and I'll stop right there. But it's wonderful to be here and hear all this wonderful work everyone's doing to feed people.
Thank you very much, Irv, and always good to see you every week. Look forward to seeing you next Tuesday again.
We'll be there.
I'm excellent. Hey, Ruth. And then I'm going to come back to Joan from earlier. Joan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am now unmuted. I am also a member of the Evanston Lighthouse Rotary, and you have heard that this is our focus.
Very good, very good. Well, then you guys were clearly joining the correct meeting here. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. I want to move on to announcements. First, I want to thank Alita Williams and Neetha Nagbati for volunteering for filling the hand sanitizer bottles last Saturday. Thanks for Alita for organizing it, and thanks to both of you for showing up to actually do it. But it turns out it takes a fair bit of time to label and fill 2,000 bottles of hand sanitizer. So I am making a call, a plea for volunteers. So please join some of our volunteer opportunities coming up in the next several weeks here, all related to this homelessness initiative. So first of all, to continue bottling those bottles of hand sanitizer, which are all going to go in those hygiene kits, and then some. We'll have some left over to use for other efforts as well. That's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, from 1 to 4 p.m. And that's at 1111 North Wells. It's in the gyrator. It's on the calendar. Please show up if you can. I am going to try to make it there as well. Alita will be there. Hopefully we'll get a few others. And then we actually have to start putting stuff in the hygiene kits that LDS Charities is so graciously providing. We're going to supplement those as we were talking about. So those hand sanitizers, some socks, masks, bunch of other things. The masks are being donated by the government of Taiwan. So a lot of things to go in there. And so that's going to be this Saturday, November 7th, from 10 to 1. At 800 West Lawrence. They do have a parking lot. It's also fairly transit accessible near the Red Line Lawrence stop. They're going to take your temperature upon entering, and you also have to answer a questionnaire. Obviously, wear a mask. Water, coffee, light snacks will be provided. So don't miss that. That'll be good. And then November 14th is the big day. That's the day where we're going to take those hygiene kits and we're going to distribute them at a variety of locations across the city, give them to a couple of different charities for them to distribute as well. We're also going to provide meals for lunch and dinner at a couple different Salvation Army facilities. So there will be volunteer opportunities around the lunch hour, around lunchtime, as well as around dinner time. So then there's also meals for seniors. So Alita keeps herself busy providing meals for everybody in the city of Chicago, I believe. We have the Meals for Seniors program at Maple Point Apartments. That's 150 West Maple. That happens every Friday at 5:30 p.m. That's also on the calendar. It's also on the gyrator. Please sign up that way, so that way we have a count of who's going to show up. To say a few words about the annual campaign, Marga, do you want the floor for a few seconds to just to say a few words about the annual campaign and how people can donate? You may be on mute, Marga. Well, we'll come back on that, but I think. Oh, I see. Her microphone is not working. So let me just say that everybody can donate now during the annual campaign to both the Rotary One Foundation as well as the Rotary Foundation. And there's various incentives to get people to contribute. And we want to really have 100% participation. Even if it's just $10 that you can contribute, we really want 100% participation. And you can see on the screen right now, if you go to the Rotary Club of Chicago website, it's super easy to donate. You just click on those buttons right there. We're aiming for $75,000 in total donations between the two foundations. The link is also in the chat box, so I do encourage folks to please contribute. We also are asking people to submit content, Rotary stories and experiences, or stories from other organizations that really relate well to Rotary and organizations that maybe Rotarians would want to learn about. But we want to feature you. We want to hear about you. We want to know what you're doing. So if you could provide any content, maybe writing some stories about some of these experiences, then we can feature that on social media. We can feature it in the gyrator. So please submit those stories. You can send them to me. You can send them to the office at rotary1.club. And we'd love to feature you. There's also another way everybody can get involved. I know that everybody has a lot of different interests. Well, environment is now one of the new areas of focus for Rotary International. So there's also now a district environmental committee, and they are looking for anybody who's interested in nature and the environment to become a committee member at the district level. So you can reach out to Noni Liketsos at nonliketsos@gmail.com, and we can also put that in the chat as well. So as always, we have a variety of committee meetings coming up. You can find those on the calendar, but all are open to everybody. We also have a board meeting next Tuesday. Again, anybody is welcome to attend any of those meetings. We encourage it. In fact, it's a good way to get involved. We also have a great slate of Rotary meetings coming up over the next couple of weeks. Of course, every Friday, if you're really longing for that in-person connection, every Friday around noon at the Union League Club of Chicago, show up and have lunch with 6 of your favorite Rotarians. We've had really good attendance since we've reinstated this back in September. Last week was no exception to that, even with the further lockdown in the city of Chicago. The restaurant at the Union League Club on the 4th floor is open for takeout, but we can take the takeout down to the 2nd floor ballroom where they have some tables set up, and we can still sit there and enjoy each other's company, being safely socially distanced. So see you there on Fridays. Then Tuesday, November 10th, our regular lunchtime meeting with Ashley Chapman, founder and CEO of Altus, a human rights lawyer, social entrepreneur. She has 20 plus years building solutions in education, business, legal, nonprofit, government, and community sectors on behalf of the world's most vulnerable populations. And then on Tuesday, November 17th, we have Azim Kamisa, the founder of Tariq Kamisa Foundation. Following the murder of his son in 1995, Azim Khamisa founded the Tariq Khamisa Foundation, which started a subsequent forgiveness movement that has reached millions. So we have some very exciting stuff coming up. I look forward to seeing you all in the weeks ahead. I don't know that we have any international visiting Rotarians with us here today, but I will at least ask perhaps one of our guest Rotarians to help me with something as we close up our meetings, as we always do. Kathy, if I could put you on the spot, I would like you to recite the four-way test for us, and we're going to put the four-way test up here on the screen so you don't have to do it from memory. So Shelby, could you put up the four-way test so that Kathy could recite for us the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do?
Kathy, I think I can manage this. Thank you. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And as we say in our club, fifth, is it fun?
Thank you very much, Kathy. I hope it was fun tonight. Thank you, everybody, very much for joining. Have a great rest of your week. Meeting adjourned.